What's up guys, it's me Jeremy. Now this video has actually been a super requested topic for me to take a look at, and I've kind of put it off for a while because really the truth is that if you are going to one trick a champion, they should honestly just be whoever is the most fun champion for you to play in the entire game, and that's going to be the most important reason by far when choosing one. However, a lot of people still ask me for this video topic regardless, so I guess a lot of you guys want to one-trick someone and maybe you're open to options or something, so here are our suggestions. Obviously, once again, these are just suggestions, so if your favorite champion isn't on this list, don't feel bad, it's totally okay. There's a few things on paper that we believe make a champion a little bit better for one-tricking aside from the reason of you finding them fun though. And if we throw the reason of just picking whichever champion is the most fun completely out the window, there's a few things that we believe make a champion maybe a little bit better than others for one-tricking them. The first one is about how high the skill cap of the champion is. A high skill cap champion takes a ton of time to get used to, but it really makes it worth it for putting a lot of extra time into them, because if you do, you're going to see your win rate with that champion just going up and up and up. The champion doesn't have to be that hard to play to start off with, but having a high skill ceiling, high skill cap is going to make them super fun to invest time into and give you a better chance at carrying games with them. Also, it's really difficult to one-trick a champion with a high ban rate, so that's also an important stat to consider. I mean, after all, you're going to be dodging more games than you play if your champion gets banned too often. A good rule of thumb is to stick to champions with a ban rate under 20%, so we're ruling out all others for this list. And the last criteria we're going to take into consideration is how flexible of a champion they are. So essentially, if the champion can be played in multiple roles. It's not entirely necessary when you're one-tricking them, but being able to play your one-trick champion in multiple roles for when you queue is definitely ideal. And again, lists like this kind of do come down to personal preference. And on top of that, you kind of just have, how good is the champion on paper right now in the meta. Also, by the way guys, now that I finally finished moving down to SoCal, we're finally kicking off our Hearthstone channel. We're making some Hearthstone videos kind of similar to our League content here and there, and we're hoping to do a lot of historical and some theory crafting and development sort of videos. So definitely check it out if you're into Hearthstone. There's going to be a link in the description, and let's jump right into the video. So our first choice for a good one-trick champion is Akali. She has a positive win rate across the board for both top and mid lane, and for experienced players her win rate has even reached pretty much around even as high as 60% overall in the mid lane. Akali's a true assassin that really revolves around snowballing games by just destroying everyone. She's a powerful duelist, especially after level 6, and the goal is to use her early power after hitting 6 to get that item advantage, and then you use that to just tear everyone else apart. She's a champion that really favors one-trick ponies because if you know her power and her matchups, you can totally just abuse her snowballing potential to just totally run away with games by yourself. Akali scales insanely well with items, and she's actually not even that bad from behind anymore thanks to the new Akali tank kind of build. You can go into the game with the idea of getting ahead early, and if it doesn't necessarily work out, you can switch to a more tanky style and act as sort of a damage soak frontliner for your team instead. She can also be played in top or mid as well, but mid is definitely the higher risk, higher reward way to do it. And the more games you've played on Akali, the lower the risk and the greater the reward becomes. A big part of choosing a main champion is just finding someone that you don't mind playing over and over and over again, and well, Akali just loves to kill people, and that's something that never gets old. Honestly, she fits the bill quite well for a one-trick. She's got a high skill ceiling, she's never banned out, and you can always find a way to be relevant and powerful in the game once you're used to playing her. Next up we have Jax, and he's actually a champion that I think is really awesome, so it's really cool to be able to suggest him to you guys. Jax works best in either the top lane or in the jungle, and he actually functions quite differently in lane depending on where you take him. In the top lane, he's not necessarily that strong early on, but can kind of cheese enemies for early kills sometimes, and this is one of those points where experience really shines once you've done your time mastering Jax. You're going to be able to abuse that early stun and push yourself ahead really fast. His kit is somewhat simple, I guess you could say, which some players might find a little bit repetitive, but thanks to neat little mechanics like ward jumps and all sorts of kind of little trickeries to maximize your DPS, you can always find something fresh and surprising to learn, so he does stay quite interesting to play. Jax is one of the original hypercarries of League of Legends, notorious for being able to 1v5 when he's fed with insane burst and sustain damage while still getting tank stats for building offensive items through his ultimate. The best part about Jax is that a great Jax player can approach the game in so many different ways. As a one-trick Jax pony, you can pretty much decide how the enemy team has to play the game around you. You can force them to duel you and lose, or just split push all game and take their inhibitors if they try ignoring you. If you're looking for a melee carry to get comfortable on, Jax is well worth putting the time into learning or even dedicating yourself to one-tricking. We wanted to include a support on our list so that we have something for every single role to try and cover pretty much all the areas of you guys, and our support choice is going to be Thresh, and he definitely deserves a mention. Unlike some of the other champions on our list, most supports can only really be played as supports. You're not going to be playing Thresh jungle or something like that. But the thing is that thanks to the low population in the role of support in ranked, you're not really going to have to fight to get the support role most of the time. Thresh is a support that can kind of just spoon feed kills to your team through his crowd control, so players that like to show off some mechanical skill should definitely think about maining Thresh just for making plays. Once you get seriously good with Thresh, you can start landing those predictive god hooks that just feel so incredibly satisfying. Like when you guess an enemy's flash and catch them out once they thought they were safe, that is just awesome. He's a huge threat in lane and really resourceful too thanks to his lantern, so you're always going to have something to do and plays to make in each game, which is a pretty important part if you're going to play hundreds of games with him all by himself. Honestly, the only mark against Thresh is maybe how popular he is. He's picked pretty often overall, so definitely ask your teammates to maybe grab him first to trade to you if your team has first pick in ranked. And of course, we couldn't really leave out Riven. I mean, she has a reputation for being a solid one-trick option for a good reason. Some of the most popular players in the entire game are or started out as Riven mains, and for pretty good reason. Riven rewards mechanical skill above everything else, and a snowballed Riven is pretty much GG. I mean, you're going to carry the game by yourself because of that insane area of effect physical damage and just absolutely crazy mobility that gives her tons of options to dish out in fights. She has some really good matchups and some bad ones too in the top lane, but a good Riven knows her limits and is going to be able to play the lane to make sure that she has the best chance to carry. Riven is probably the champion with one of the highest skill ceilings on our list, in terms of mechanics at least, and thanks to her ridiculous number of combos and animation cancels, it's going to be a huge ride to master her abilities. Still, she's crazy flashy and just awesome to watch and play, so if you're a bit of a show-off, then she's definitely the one-trick champion for you. Although top lane is her home turf, good Rivens have been known to stomp from both the mid lane or perhaps the jungle as well actually, although you definitely need to be familiar with her combos to get a good jungle clear or to survive the high damage poke in the mid lane. She's probably one of, if not the actual most popular one-trick champions in the entire game because of her reliance on mechanics and high skill ceiling and honestly just fun of playing her. She actually teaches you a ton about the game too, and there's quite a few pro players that started out as Riven mains. I mean, Febiven is one of them that I can think of just off the top of my head. So she's really rewarding to learn. It's important that you enjoy playing a champion enough to use them in every single game if you're going to be a one-trick, and Riven is quite a satisfying pickup, so she's worth looking at for sure if that's the kind of thing you're into. And so that just about wraps up our list, but keep in mind that regardless of what we think, the most important thing by far for choosing the one-trick champion for you guys to main is definitely just picking whoever you think is the most fun. But still, we hope that our list helps a little bit for those of you looking for your next go-to carry to play, or maybe just a champion to try out. So definitely leave us a comment and let us know what you thought of our choices, and looks like that's going to be it for me. If you guys enjoyed the video, drop a like, subscribe if you want. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.